guys, I'm going to teach you how to make an individual value plot or a group of individual value plots using Excel. So I tried to steal a couple pictures of what a value plot is offline. Sorry, they're a little fuzzy. Not many of these are made in Excel, but we use them a lot. This is one example of a value plot for this group and then another value plot for another group here. We're looking at, we have a nice table here, parcel weights, okay, so in different types of services. And then we have another value plot here. Now, we could have put those in box plots. So imagine that we have those same three groups, but instead of looking at all the individual pieces of data, we have some other stats that we can see here. Like the box plots really do describe some other things for us, such as percentiles and means. But the individual value plots, here's another example, break it up so we can really see more information about all of the data. Here's another one comparing three different groups, three different plots. Here's another one comparing four different groups, therefore we have four different plots. That's a lot going on. So in this case, we would probably prefer to go to a traditional box plot. So we use value plots. Usually, typically, we like for you to make value plots when you have in a group under 30. Okay, I'm going to model really quick how to do this. So I have three different groups here that I'd like us to look at. We're going to look at cherry tree growth, orange tree growth, and peach tree growth. These are my three different groups, and if I go to Insert, go to Recommended Charts, because that's what you're most comfortable with, and Box Plots, that's what my box plot would look like for that data. So it does tell me stuff about the data, but it really doesn't break out lots of other information that the individual value plot will give me. So I'm going to delete that chart, and I'm going to insert and start my work on a scatter plot. So the scatter plot for this data looks like that. We don't want to have this type of scatter plot. We want our data scattered by group. In order for that to happen, we're going to have to make some adjustments in our sheet and in our chart element. So for each one of these groups, I'm going to have to think about my X and Y axis. If my cherry trees all have to be on one part of the x-axis and my oranges are on the same one, then they're all going to share the same axis. That's not good. So we want them spread out along the x-axis, which means I'm going to have to insert, I'm just going to insert a couple extra columns here and you'll see why. And I'm going to make a column that is assigned 0. The 0 is going to be my x-axis for, let me drag it down a little more, for the data for cherry trees. Now my orange trees, I don't want to be sharing the 0 on the x-axis. I want them to share 1. So I'm going to give the 1s there, and then for peach, I'll give them another x value. It doesn't really matter what it is, guys. What matters is that it just gets spread out. You can always change these numbers and jitter things later, which I'll teach you in another video. So I don't want my chart to look like this. The next thing I do is I go to Chart Design, which will pop up over here in your tabs as soon as you click on your chart. So I'm going to click on Chart Design, and I'm going to scroll down this just a little. Hold on. Okay. I'm going to click on the chart, go to Chart Design, and then you've already played with the chart elements before. You can do that again when you're done making this time. And I'm going to play with my Select Data. So we have our data source window pop up, and we are going to delete the items that are in here. And as you can see, that has made our chart window empty. But that's okay, because we're going to change it. We're going to add, and now we are going to customize our chart window. So we did tell Excel already that we wanted to be scatter plot formatting. That's the chart type. We're just changing the design of the scatter plot. So first, I want to make an individual value plot of my cherry trees. So I type in cherry in the series name. I'm going to select the zeros for my x-axis. I'm going to select the data that matches those zeros for cherry, and as you can see, it just popped up on the window. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to add another one, and I'm going to select my, oops, first I'm going to put in orange. Then I'm going to select my X values as 1, and I'm going to delete what's in that Y box and select my Y values for oranges. And let's move this over real quick. You can see that we now have 2 individual value plots. And then I can add my last one, which will be Peachtree. And my X values will be 2, and my Y values will be all the data for peaches. Hit OK, hit OK, and voila, there's my plots. Now we're going to fancy them up. You have other nice tools in here, so there's a couple things that we'd like to see and we don't want to see. One, I don't even want to see that x-axis, so I'm just going to click on my x-axis, and I do want to delete that so we don't see it. Now we can play with axis titles so that you can put a title over here on your y-axis and you don't want anything in your x-axis. So this could be growth in inches and growth in inches. And then notice that we have this big window that came up over here, so we can format more because I'm highlighting or I've selected something in the axis. I can play with other things with axis title. So I have lots of title options here. Now there's some other little tips and tricks that come up here. Let's say, oh, you know what, this is too far over here, I'd like to move. There's many different ways you can do this. So I'm going to click on my plot, and when I click on it, these other items come up. So I want to mess with my horizontal axis. I think I want to change that. So I'm going to go to the axis selection, and I'm going to hit on primary. I have more options here. So I'm going to click on more options, and when you click on more options, you'll see in this window what comes up over here on formatting axis. I can actually play with a lot of different stuff within the chart. So I'm going to go to axis options, and I can change all my bounds, and I can change the units, I can change the scale. So I can go over to my axis options, and I'm going to change that 0, and I'm going to make it like -1 for now, just because I want to move things over. Notice that it moved my points, my one plot is moved over, but I'm not going to want to look at all that. So there's many different ways you can do this. You can change your 0 to 0.5 for your x-axis, lots and lots of different options. So I can just go in here now, and I can delete my view of all these axes labels. I can move things over. And my axis has actually, my y-axis has actually put itself, like the label for it, it's positioned itself next to the axis. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to make it go low. And voila, now I have my plot. So you can play with all these tools, and you can add your titles in here, you know, chart title. You can say growth of trees. And now we have our 3 individual value plots. And a couple other things that we can add that really fancy this up is a mean. So I'm going to close up my window over here where I can format my chart. And I'm going to move my chart over. And I'm going to create a mean for each of my trees. And this is very easy. I'm just going to go in the window here, and I want to make sure that I remember what this label, like what this number is that I'm putting over here. And just go into my little function tool and type in average, and the function window will come up. Click OK, and you just highlight what you want averaged, and it'll stick it right in there for you. Average. Data. Now I want to put those means in here, but I'm definitely going to want to give them a different color. I don't want to just put my mean in as a blue circle. So I'm going to click on my chart again, and when I click on the chart design tab will show up. I click on chart design, and I want to select data because I'm going to add more things. So I go add, and for my series name, It's really just not going to be a name because I don't need any kind of label for anything. My x value is going to be 0 and my y value is going to be this. And it's in there. Now I need to change the label for this, so I'm going to have to find my series 4 in the chart. So I'm going to click OK. We're going to keep this all here so that we can see it. Let me move this more in the window for you. So my series 4 is actually my mean for the cherry trees. I'm going to select that point and I want to change that point. I want it to look like something else. So let me select it by double clicking on it. And my window pops up over here where I can format things in my chart. And I'm going to look at all these little things over here. I'm going to actually change what my marker looks like. This is where you can change your colors, the size of your points, the border of your points versus the fill of your points. We're just going to go to the marker. And then these are all my options on how to play with the marker. So I think I want to use the X. So I'm going to go to marker options in this window. I'm going to go to built-in, and for type I can pick any of these options here. So I'll just pick like this one for now, and I want to make it nice and big, so I say size 8, and I want to change the color of it from purple and make all my means in red. So once you've done that, voila, there's my big X. So you're going to add your other means to your chart. You're going to just make sure that you change your axes for each. You're going to convert them into an X and then go ahead and pretty it up and submit it to me for work. Have fun making your individual value plots.